Welcome, community. Today we have our distinguished guest, Sascha Mysik. He is the country manager for Tecloman in Germany and doing everything pan-Europe-wide. We are very excited because we are in Munich, in Tecloman's headquarters for Europe for the first time, and we are meeting Sascha. We will get to know him up personal and also get to know about Tecloman solutions and why battery storage are so important now. So let's get started.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much for the short introduction. Yes, of course, I'm in Tecloman responsible for the European sales. Mm-hmm. I'm the director of European sales, and I'm also director of strategic business development for the global market for Tecloman. Mm-hmm. And so we also made a joint venture 2 years ago with a Moroccan company. And I was also responsible for doing this. And yes, what I was doing. So I think I have a long history in the PV market. Mm-hmm. And
I mean, could we start from the really beginning, because it's
okay.
Your journey has been amazing. So we would like to know at the beginning how you started, how you got into
the energy field.
What you studied, where.
It's a long story.
Perfect, we have that.
So I started originally in the semiconductor market. So I was starting with some companies who were producing equipment for the semiconductor market, for producing PerMet microchips for Hewlett Packard and for Intel. It was 2003, and from 1995 until 2003.
Mm-hmm. Wow,
and so it was typical manufacturing companies for semiconductor industry.
Wow, when it was starting almost. I mean the renewable energy field.
Yeah, it was starting in the field of 2002, 2003, because then I was working for Centrotherm, one of the biggest supplier for equipment for the photovoltaic industry.
Where were you based?
In Germany.
In Germany. You started here?
I started here in Germany, yeah.
Okay.
And so this was an opportunity for learning much more about all the PV market, because with this company we had the first equipment for the semiconductor market, and then later on we learned that we can use high temperature fusion equipment also for the PV market. So for producing on the end solar cells for Q cells for other big Chinese suppliers. Okay. And later on I changed to United States, so I established my own company in the United States for producing metallurgical grade silicon for the PV market. So we were founded with venture capitals in Silicon Valley, and so we got another 80 million euro for producing special silicon for the PV market. Later on it changed from a polycrystalline again to monocrystalline. Mm-hmm. So then we changed this process and we sold the company.
Well, so that was to manufacture PV solar panels in the US?
It was manufacturing solar grade basic materials for later producing of solar panels.
Okay, so when the market was just starting?
When the market was starting.
Okay. And you have been in the manufacturing of solar PV from way long ago. How did
2004, 2005.
Wow, but it has been a long journey since then, when the people were not even thinking about that it could be applicable to such a large scale. But how have you seen the journey so far in terms of manufacturing, the scale of it and the price being dropped so much? Of course, when you have an economic of scale, the prices goes down, but yeah.
It was terrible because, the beginning of the market was a fantastic spot market opportunity. So it was necessary to spend 300 euro per kilogram of PV basic materials. So it's dropped down the last 20 years until up to 5% of the original price. So it was a huge difference. So any year it was a challenge to fulfill requirements from the big market. On the end, I was then changing in 2014, 2015 in the storage market. Okay. And to develop together with big companies like Unicos, sodium sulfur batteries for the storage market. And then I changed over to Hoppeke, a battery supplier for lead acid batteries. So they we established then also a daughter company or a sister company in Tilion, is producing all the big storage system or commercialized storage system for the international global market. 2023 in January, I changed to Tecloman.
Okay.
So it was a very, very good opportunity because I was grabbing around the whole world about good suppliers who can provide turnkey solution to the market. And this was an essential option because Tecloman is one of not so much companies in the world. They came not only from the battery system, so they were starting 30 years ago over in the switchgear business, in the rectifier business, in the PCS system industry. And then later on, they developed their own ferrophosphate battery cells by their own. And this was very, very interesting for me to help this company to establish the market all in Europe.
And if you could tell us all the solutions that Tecloman has right now.
Yeah, Tecloman is a typical turnkey solution provider. So we are coming from the basics. We are coming from producing battery cells, 75 ampere hour cells by our own. So we learned how important it is to have the right basic materials, from the anode material, from the cathode material, and all the from the separator. And we didn't start with NMC. We only started with LFP, with ferrophosphate technology. And it's a better technology because it's not so dangerous. It cannot burn so much like NMC technology. And it was a starting opportunity also for Tecloman in this business. And the big issue is that we can provide, as a vertically integrated company, from the battery modules, together with PCI systems, together with transformer systems, together with battery management software and with energy management software. Yeah. Both of all these opportunities on our side. And it is a unique selling point for entering the market with turnkey solutions. Yeah. So we are not a typical battery supplier. They're only supplying battery and selling to Europe or to the global market. We would like to sell solutions for applications. And this is necessary in Europe because the applications in Europe are different to the applications, for instance, in Asia.
And that gives you the flexibility to innovate as well, right? If you are from the really beginning in the sales, you are making how do you call it? R&D? No.
R&D, yeah.
Research and development?
Yeah, research and development.
So, we have many manufacturing areas in China. So we have around 70,000 square meter production area with fully automated lines, with robots coming from Germany, for example, from KUKA. We have around 1,300 people working for us, and over 165 people only in R&D. So this is essentially opportunity. At the moment, we're opening some service centers over here in Europe and Germany because we are thinking that we need absolutely to provide the right service to the client for 10, 15 years long. So this is also an issue that not all other competitions are doing this. So this is essentially work from our side. And we have the expertise because of so many people that are working only for R&D.
And if you could tell us a bit more about, like, you're based in Europe now and the manufacturing is done in China, and so who are your customers and how does the whole value chain work?
Yeah, the customers are different kind of business related things because we have customers for commercialized systems, for industrial people. We have utility clients. We have grid companies, of course. Though it's a broad range of clients, international-wise, in the whole Europe. But it's a special challenge because every of these country has own grid nodes. So we have to provide the right certifications. And as you can see, right now we are ranked as a tier 1 supplier for Bloomberg. So it's all the very special and necessary ranking opportunities if you're talking to banks, to credit lines, to institutional investors. Everybody would like to see what is the quality of the company because we are new in Europe and we are not existing 20 years in Europe. Though it's necessary to have such a ranking of quality. And Bloomberg is doing this like they're doing this also for the PV market. So this helps us for entering the market more easier.
Okay, just thinking about the advantage of being in all the supply chain located in China mainly. Would you say there is a huge advantage also in terms of critical materials, for example, to produce? Because 2 weeks ago there was a conference in London with the International Energy Agency, and they talk about energy security. So one of the big topics was critical materials. How do you see this topic in the storage manufacturing?
Yeah, we are not using critical materials because they're coming maybe then from the Urigon region or something like this. So we are producing only with materials, basic materials that are coming from right regions. And all our batteries manufactured in China are only manufactured by 100% green energy. So this is a very, very important topic. It's also necessary because of opportunity for 2026 or 2027 to start additional taxes, carbon border taxes in Europe. So then it's related to how you're producing your materials. Are the materials produced 100% free of CO2, of course, and we're only using green energy in our headquarters. So it's very, very important, and it's an issue that we have to do this.
So is this virtually? I mean, you have PPAs with renewable power plants?
Okay. Yeah, we have PPAs with renewable power plants, and so that's an issue that is given as a certification that we are producing this 100% free, only green. That's very, very important.
Well, I didn't know. It's impressive.
And Sascha, if you could tell us a bit more about successful stories that you already have in Europe now.
Yeah, we started some years ago in Europe, especially in the Belgium and Netherlands market. And I think for this market, this was a special opportunity to install agriculture farms, commercialized installations, like 200 kilowatt up to 500, 600 kilowatt hour storage system for special solutions in agriculture farms or in small companies. And we sold around 300 to 400 systems in Belgium, Netherlands, and over in UK and in Ireland. So the last months we sold all the 32 storage system, commercial systems to Ireland.
Yeah.
This week we got a 10 megawatt order from Wien Energy. So
from Wien Energy.
From Wien Energy for also making grid support, of course. Yeah. We got orders in Hungary for 10 megawatt, and so we are working also in Germany for many big opportunities like big installations, BESS system installations.
And your solution is about providing the storage solution, and then the installation, operation and maintenance goes to the other party, or how does it work?
We are working in Europe sometimes as partner. They can making all the EPC work.
Yeah.
Of course, on the beginning with our people, so we are assisting all of the EPC partners, and we train the EPC partners. So we have also a training academy integrated in Tecloman that we are giving all the partners the first training that they have the option then later on to make the support. So we are guaranteeing our suppliers in minimum 10 years support. Yeah. And over 25 or 24 hours support for big clients, and also remote diagnostic opportunities. The availability guarantee, and that this is all necessary. And it's typical for different kind of clients. So we have commercial customers that are working in commercial companies, smaller companies, industrial companies. They have huge industrial buildings or companies. They need a huge of energy, and they would like to provide a cheaper energy. So they would like to integrate PV on their roofs. Because they need a cheaper energy, because the problem in Germany is our competition worldwide, and this problem occurs about too high energy costs. How you can reduce the energy costs. And energy costs you can reduce if integrating PV, for example, and then you can produce a kilowatt hour price for around 7 or 8 cents. So then it's essentially difference as to pay for the grid companies 20 cents in the commercial industrial industry. And on the end, you can also have another opportunities to make peak shaving, to make peak shifting, to have all the power factor compensation opportunities with the energy storage. And on the other hand side, we have the huge transmission of grid companies. So we are making all the grid support.
Yeah. Ancillary services. And
grid services, of course, it's necessary because we have too much fluctuating energy, because energy is coming not only from normal power plants, are coming then from the solar, they're coming from the wind, onshore, offshore, and this is not stable energy. And
okay, so we can start to go into the topic these last weeks, which was the blackout in Spain. Do you think it's related with this not continuous, like variable renewable energy in the big system? How it impact in the energy system, and how storage plays a role there?
Yeah, it was an impact produced by Spain and by south of France.
Okay.
And so I think, Spain has installed around 25 gigawatt PV panels and PV power. So it's a huge amount of PV they installed. And but they installed around 1 gigawatt only storage system. And from this storage system, from this 1 gigawatt, only 50 or 100 megawatt have a black start capability. So this is
tell us what black storage capability means.
This means if the grid is collapsing, and this was a problem in Spain. So normally you can have, then we're changing from the normal grid to PV. So because the PV parks over in Spain are connected to some industrial companies, to hotels, to hospitals. But the problem is if the grid is collapsing, it takes only milliseconds. And if you can start your own grid with a storage system in such as milliseconds, the grid is collapsing. So then it's not starting. So you need the right combination of energy storage system with the right inverter systems to can start from their own a new grid. And this name is black start capability. So then it's an option, but Spain doesn't have this. Germany have this. So we installed many gigawatt hour systems and storage system with black start capabilities. And then it's an option. If a grid is collapsing, decentralized, then the storage can start their own grid in the right time base, in 20 milliseconds, for example. And then the grid is not stopping, it's not collapsing.
It's a grid forming also.
Yeah, it's a grid forming. So we have this opportunity. Spain, they were thinking, we only would like to install in PV. This gives us a huge green energy, and this is enough. But it's not enough. The people are learning this, because the problem is we also have overcapacity or too much low capacity in Germany. Last year in November we had the troubles in Germany because we also had problems because the sun was not shining, the wind was not going on, and the energy companies was trying to catch energy from whom? Because the most of the energy over in Germany came from renewables. The same is in Spain. Every other country would like to make 50 to 80% in the future of green energy. But then this problem occurred in Germany last November was a big problem. So the energy company were trying to catch green energy from storage suppliers or from storage owners, from different of IPPs. And this was an opportunity. They spent so much money for kilowatt hour for whatever, 30 euro cents or 40 euro cents for grabbing this grid from storage. And if they have an overcapacity, of course, they will spend this capacity in the storage system. So this is power trading. And this is a huge opportunity here in Europe that you can make all the big money for power trading, arbitrage, day ahead, and also PRL regulation, primary and secondary control.
And also, yesterday we were talking with Hubert Fechner from IEA, and he told us that the new solutions are any new green solution that you're having, it has to come with battery storage. Especially he was talking about the PV, and also in the developing, if I may say, countries like the Central and Eastern European countries, which was relying on the fossil fuel for a very long time, and now they are trying to get to the green energy, especially from PV. Why it gets way more important for us to think about battery storage now.
It's a typical realization. You know, I was end of last year, beginning of this year, in Romania, in Hungary, in Czech Republic, and they have the same problem over as we have in Germany, because European Union announced 5 years ago that they would like to create a pan-European grid. And the pan-European grid is to sharing all the different kind of energies. If there is a country with too much energy, they can bring it to the others if they have not enough energy. But in the moment, we have too much renewable energy from wind, from sun, and it's not stable. So how you can give a stable energy? And then France also interrupted this restriction from the European Union, because France was thinking, we can give you a stable energy from our nuclear plants. So they were starting the latest state-of-the-art nuclear plant in France 2 years ago. But at the moment, it's too expensive. So they spent it 10 times more as it was original planned. So the production costs of this nuclear power plant in France, the latest state-of-the-art, is around 12 to 13 euro cents. It's too expensive. So the European Union stopped this opportunity to bring nuclear power in the grid because nobody can pay it for. So then it's necessary to come back to renewable energy again. And then we have these troubles. Too much power in the noontime, because all of these countries in Europe having then in noontime too much PV power. On the evening, of course, and in the night, they don't have enough energy for companies that are working 24 hours, or for private homes, or for smaller companies that are working until 8 o'clock in the evening. So from whom comes this energy? So then we need storage system. It's for industrial solution. They will be independent from power, and reducing the energy costs is from the grid companies for making grid support, to giving them in the grid the power if the grid has not enough power. You grab from the grid if there's overcapacity, and then you can make a stable infrastructure. And the problem is that the electrification infrastructure in Europe, it's not good enough. So we have to build it again, but it takes 20 years long. So how we can wait? How we can wait 20 years long? And this is an opportunity that we're losing so much money if we have such a problem as in Spain. They lose billions only for 2 days. They lose billions in the economy. And if you compare it, for example, the country, or the small country with the most power blackouts, it's California. They have more than 200 blackouts a year. So this is affecting the Silicon Valley tremendous. And so this is also an issue that we have to stop these blackout opportunities. And this is related to too much power need from companies, from private sectors, because of e-mobility. Everybody would like to drive an e-vehicle, so you have to charge the e-vehicles on the night, but then it's a problem because the grid capacity is too low. In Germany it's 50 or 100 kilowatt, and if you have a car with 150 kilowatt batteries, so then it's a problem. And if in a community 100, 200, 400 cars would like to charge at the same time, that's a problem.
So if I understood well, you are saying that we are in a speed race at the end. So to stabilize the grid, we could have many solutions, technical solutions, but the storage system are much faster to be implemented, manufactured, implemented, and operated, right?
Of course. Because integration of PV is a necessary step to be independent and to produce the power by your own, more and more cheaper as you're catching the power from the grid. But on the other hand side, standalone system, standalone battery system, who can provide 100 megawatt or 200 megawatt in the grid for making the grid stable is necessary. And we have to do this in the range of terawatts in Germany. So we are expecting 10 to 20 terawatts of such a storage solution to make the grid stable. So how can we do this? So we need suppliers who can realize it. So we need all the restrictions, of course. Otherwise, the grid is exploding. The restrictions in Germany are maybe too high. So because we need so many different kind of certificates to be able to connect to the grid. So we have to talk to politics. They will help us to give more power and to install with more speed all the energy storage system. But without storage system, it's not possible to live with energy in the next 20 years. So it's a must. It's a must-have, and as soon as possible, because we learned from Spain, it can happen. It can also happen in Germany, for example. Not in this case as in Spain, because we have too much centralized system. We have in Germany around 800 transmission companies. So then it gives us the opportunity. We have decentralized energy production or generation, and but we have to install more energy storage system.
Yeah, I mean, you have seen in Chile, you have experience there also that we are like 2 or 3 gigawatt under environmental evaluation. So it is going to be a big deployment the next years. And just the last question to Lydia. What would you say to the people who is saying that we should install more PV, for example, that we were discussing a bit before the camera, but how do you see it?
You can compare it. Normally we have to pay in Germany for small industrial companies around 20 euro cent for energy from the grid companies. And this is too much to be competitive enough for making products and sending out the products worldwide to make an export, because our products are too expensive because of the high energy costs. How we can realize it, how we can change it? We can install PV. And installed PV, the lifetime of PV panels are in the moment 30 to 40 years. And because of the new generation of solar panels, TOPCon technology and heterojunction technology, the lifetime is so long. And the degradation factor is also very, very low. So over in Europe or in south of Europe, you can produce 1 kilowatt hour for 1.5 euro cents. Only with PV. Of course, you need a storage in addition, but then it's around between 4 and 8 cents, euro cents. Even you are in south of Spain, you have 4 cents. If you are going to whatever Germany, you have you can produce energy together with PV around 8 euro cents. But it's cheaper as 20 euro cents. Everybody has to think about how can I make my own energy with PV panels. How can I be independent from the grid because of some blackouts, like in Spain? And but I need energy storage system. Otherwise, I cannot work with.
Yeah. So there.
I was reading about the solution that you have put across in close to Netherlands. I think that a lot of farmers are using battery storages, and you would not think of them as first movers or early adopters. But why is it that they are one of the first people who are devising battery solutions?
You know, the farmer, they are the special client. And so they have, most of the farmers have big buildings that they can produce a huge amount of PV. They're getting very, very cheap credit lines from the banks because they are safe, because they are farmers. But the farmers, if they are doing, for example, milking, so the milking time is in the morning at 5 o'clock and the evening around 6 or 7 o'clock. So no sun is shining at this time. But they have a huge amount of roofs, so they can produce enough PV power with a very, very cheap price. But then they need energy storage for storing this PV energy on the noontime and shifting then to the evening and the morning if they need it on the next day. So for making milking and also for cooling the milk. So this is a typical application for agriculture farms. And so they have to install the storage, otherwise I cannot work with the PV.
Yeah.
And this was the reason that although we're having a big partner with Positron in Belgium, they installed hundreds of such systems with many hundreds of different kind of clients in Belgium and now over in Netherlands.
What is the typical pricing for, let's say, for 1 megawatt of storage, and what is the minimum amount of storage that someone can have?
It's critical to say because, you know, in the moment there are rumors over in the world that whatever a battery is possible for buying to below 100 euro per kilowatt hour. But it depends what you are comparing. If it's only the battery, if it's the battery with PCS systems, this is the battery with PCS systems and MV stations, because you need transformer stations if you would like to be grid connected. What kind of software you have to use? There are sometimes special software related. So then the price is different, of course. And if you're connecting then to big grid companies, for example, you have to provide 10 or 15 years warranty. You have to provide support for 10 or 15 years. You have to give availability guarantees. So then it's a different kind of price. And if you're having a small a small commercialized installation of 400 kilowatt. It's a different price if you make a 100 megawatt storage system with containerized solution. And we have, for example, 10 feet containers with 5 megawatt in one 20 feet container. So with the new technology of liquid cooled parts, it's not anymore air cooled, it's also liquid cooled. So you can pack on a smaller space more battery cells. And the liquid cooled part gives you the opportunity that all the cells in one module have the same temperature. And it's better for the whole process. And you can pack it with a smaller space. So then it's an option. 5 years ago, you need a 40 feet container to put in 2.5 megawatt. And the moment we have half, we have a 20 feet container and can put in 5 megawatt in. So it's fantastic opportunity for shrink the dimension of space you need. It's for industrial company important, it's for substations important, but this is essential.
Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult question with prices, but lately International Energy Agency released a study with the projection and the historical and projection of battery storage prices. So in that note, about this projection of prices, how do you see it in the future, and how is the market right now with
The problem is, what we have to see is we don't have to make the same fault as the PV industry did. So the problem of the PV industry was the overcapacity.
Okay.
So all the Chinese producers, they were thinking, okay, the expectation of integration renewables is huge in Europe. It's so we have to put in every year in Germany around 25 gigawatt as PV. Every year we should do this. Wow. Otherwise we can have until 2030 230 to 250 gigawatt installed. So, but how can we do this? So, and most of the Chinese companies were thinking, okay, we have to ramp up quickly because the demand is so huge. But the problem was who can install it. Yeah. So the installer base was too low. So then it was necessary to say we cannot do this right now. We have to wait until all the installers ramped up quickly with their employments.
And all the development, I mean,
and all the development,
all the design.
It takes too long, so then it was overcapacity reason for the PV industry. So we don't have to do this in the storage market. And the moment the people are thinking, yes, we don't do this. All the special Tecloman has a strategy that we would like to have by end of this year around 25 to 27 gigawatt hour production capacity. This is enough. This is enough for the market we would like to entering. So we would like to have the focus on application-driven technology and step by step. Otherwise, it's too complicated, and then you accuse many faults. So this is a reason that I'm expecting, of course, the prices will drop down maybe a little bit, not so much as end of last year, because you also have to develop new basic materials, because the anode and cathode materials are one part. The very important part is the separator, because otherwise you have problems with recombination facts. And so the ions are going from cathode to anode, for example, and if the separator is not the best one, though the ions are going back. So you can eliminate this with high technology. We have to invest in high technology to make sure that you have a better lifetime of the batteries. And many years ago, the lifetime was maybe related to the cycle opportunity, charging and discharging cycles.
How many years? Last
5-6 years, it was only 3,000 to 4,000 cycles opportunity. At the moment, we are running up to 8,000 or 10,000 cycles. This means the energy storage, if you're using this in the renewable energy market, and you have PV panels, so you need one cycle a day for charging and discharging. In 1 year, you have 365 cycles. In 10 years, 3,600. If you can realize 8,000 cycle lifetime, then the battery's lifetime is more than 20 years. And this is essentially a development step that you have to be in the focus. And if you're going then at the moment in the power trading market, grid support, so you need sometimes 1.6 cycles a day. So then you need the capacities for more as 8,000 cycles in the future. But you have to develop such as then basic materials, and you have to spend all the money for developing this.
And that, I mean, the technical solution, because I have been in the designing side, so some manufacturers say that you can have your BESS installed, and then after 15 years you can add a module to keep the same standard, or like an upgrade. How does it work in? How do you see
Obviously, I cannot say it now because because you're right. You have to give a capacity guarantee, and after 20 years, after 8,000 cycles, the battery is not that.
It's not the same.
They have a limitation then of 60% or more in the battery. So you can also work longer with the same battery. If you would like to change it, to make a power changing, repowering, like we did this in the wind industry, for example, then you have to think about what kind of technology we would like to have in 20 years. Is this lithium ion, or is this maybe sodium sulfur? Or is this zinc air batteries?
Can change.
So I think it will change. So in 20 years, I think we will have a different kind of technology. Many institutes are developing right now all the sodium sulfur batteries again, natrium sulfide, and in Germany. And so it's in the moment over a very big opportunity for the car industry, because the energy density is higher from sodium sulfur. But the cycle opportunity is too low at the moment. But with different kind of development steps in the future, they can also produce sodium sulfur with 8,000 or 10,000 cycles.
But now it's lithium the main player.
Yeah, it's not so much lithium. It's shrinking then, of course. If you're using then, for example, zinc air batteries, there is no lithium again. So we have different kind of opportunities to reduce the basic materials. And lithium comes from the salt, of course. So how we can change this? I think in 20 years we have a different kind of technologies. We have lower price of modules. If you would like to do repowering, we can repower the whole storage.
And what about the sodium batteries?
Yeah, I think this is a future technology. I think in 10 or 15 years, I think this could be a very big part of storage integration in the future. On the other hand side, you have to see who is financing big installations like 50 megawatt, like 100 megawatt. These are institutional investors. These are banks, for example. And what other banks are doing at the moment? They would like to minimize the risk if they're giving credit lines. So they don't like to invest in new technology. So even if we have in 10 years a new technology, I think they will invest longer on with lithium, because this is a secured technology. And of course, we also developed also titanium oxide technology for special solutions with 20,000 cycles. But it's expensive. But it's an ongoing process that we are also working with many different kind of institutes for making development steps also in the future.
And on that note, for Tecloman, you have the R&D also in Europe. I heard that you have something in Hamburg too.
Yeah, we opened a service and technology center in Hamburg. There are sitting people making support and making all the process engineering steps. We have another support center in Bremen that we're also investing in the software side, because it's necessary to have the right software, so energy management software, not only for peak shaving, not only for own consumption, not only for agriculture farms. It's also necessary to have the right software for power trading, for the arbitrage market. And this is a new market in Europe, this power trading market. And we are developing with some partners then such as softwares that we can provide the whole energy management software in this part too. And this is related then over that we need process and software engineers also in Germany. It's a necessary step. We will be independent, for example, also for the CPUs, because you heard it all maybe in London or in UK that many people are cautious about, can China disconnect from China via global your storage system? Can they do this?
Or with inverters also.
All the inverters. And then it's a security opportunity that you have to provide this all in Germany. With the right CPU, for example, from German companies, with the right software, with a firewall, with safety requirements, and we are doing this. Yeah. So then we have a cloud opportunity. The cloud is not in China, it's in Germany, for example. And you have to provide this to clients to make sure that the clients are trusting you. And it's a necessary step.
Wow. And in the technical side, how do you see the end of life cycle of the batteries, all the recycle supply chain, or how do you see this developing?
I think there are, in the moment, it's not a problem, but it's an opportunity to make a recycling of lithium-ion batteries up to 70%.
70% can
be at the moment to do with 70%. But you know, at the moment it's not necessary to recycle, because most of the batteries are not older as 5 or 6 or 10 years. In 2030, so in around 5 years, the institutes, if the institutes are in Germany or in Austria, they're expecting to can recycle lithium up to 90%. And then we are roughly about in the same stage as we were many years ago with lead acid batteries. So we can recycle these batteries. So if the lifetime is done on the battery, it's maybe then in 20 years, it should be an opportunity to recycle it. And it's a must have, because if you're integrating or if you're bringing in from outside of Europe the batteries inside Europe, you have to make sure that you recycle in Europe.
Exactly. But you're saying that the lithium is 70% recycled, but what about the rest of the containers are aluminum or steel?
The containers are stainless steel. The copper cables, you can use it, and that's not a problem. The electronic materials, you can recycle it if there are transistors or whatever inside. It's not a big problem. And the liquid cooled part, make sure that you don't have so much ventilators, because you don't have make an air cooling in the system. So it's also reducing the material, they can be broken, for example. So then it's also a better opportunity for recycling events. You have to work with recycling companies in around Europe. We are doing this over in UK. And this gives us the opportunity to see how we can make sure that we can offer to the client a recycling plan that gives them that they can trust. Although if there is an end of the life after 10 or 20 years, it is possible to recycle these batteries.
Amazing. And there's so much of knowledge that you have given us, and also that is required to actually have the battery solutions where it should go and scale. And we heard about you, Tecloman, is having a BESS academy where there will be education given to the EPC people so that they can have the solution better and they can install it better. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, this education academy is also named about a training academy that we're giving all the clients. We have an ecosystem, so we are bringing not only the clients, not only the EPC partners from our side, we're also bringing then the investors, we're bringing the developers of basic materials, we're bringing the institutes together to make an eco-cycle, to share all the information, what is necessary to produce a sustainable and reliable battery system, a whole system, not only the batteries, together with inverters and with the transformer stations. And this is a necessary step. And we train, of course, then our partners very, very deep in China and also in Europe for having this eco-cycle, for having this academy. And we started this academy, and I think it's a very, very good opportunity. So we would like to have regional meetings together, if our webinars, if our video online interviews or trainings. We have on-site trainings, of course. We are bringing some clients to different kind of other installations to show them. We are increasing our capacity in the training center in Hamburg, in Bremen. We're starting over then, end of this year, a training center and a support center near of Munich. So we have partners over in the east side of Europe that we're working very deep. And this is also essentially issue that we need partners to make sure that on the end we can support our clients in the best way, more than 10 years or 15 years or 20 years.
Amazing. And what if some member of the community want to participate in the academy? Is it open for everyone or only for partners?
It's open for academy. So we have to, of course, we have to split. So then we have partners that are working for us, they're making the installation. But we would like to give all of this international technology information to all people they would like to participate. So we are making webinars and to give them, to share information about technology, to share the information about application, expectation in different kind of markets. We are doing this all worldwide. But the special information about how we produced or how we develop new steps of future technology, of course, we share that only with our partners.
Okay, yeah. And this is related also with the EPC training that you mentioned before, or is different?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's amazing. Hey, Sascha, it's been...
No, I one more question. Because
it's so interesting.
We jump from your personal story to the technical, but I'm curious about your entrepreneurial spirit. So if you could start a company now in this current scenario in the energy sector, what would you do?
I would like to do, of course, to provide energy storage system to the grid market and to the industrial market, because it's a market that needs the storage system. But you know, of entrepreneurship, or what you mentioned, the problem is starting a company from the scratch is difficult. To have a company behind you who is producing materials, who is producing the software, who have experience more than 20 years long about this problem in the industry, because although Tecloman learned how it's necessary to install switch gears, and if you in the future install switch gears with transformer in Germany, for example, they have to be SF6 free. There's a special gas that normally is used, so they have to be free from the beginning of 2026. So you have to have these development steps behind you. You have behind you a big company. They are stable in us and can give you all the guarantees. These are also expected from most of the big investors or big clients. So starting from the scratch, of course, it would be a fantastic opportunity because the demand is so huge, but you have to be cautious how you can do this. It's not so easy. But in the market we are at the moment, it's industrial, it's commercial, it's utility scale. This is exactly the market everybody should be.
Yeah, and among all the products that you have, what's your favorite?
The turnkey solution is the favorite. Because without all this, what we are providing, you cannot realize the right application. Only with batteries is impossible. Only with PCI systems and without energy storage is impossible. Only with transformer stations is impossible. Only with batteries and PCS and transformer without the right software, it's also impossible. So you have to have everything together. Otherwise, it's difficult to put storage system in the market. It's not a storage, it's a solution. So we are delivering application solutions.
Okay, amazing. And is there something else that you would like to share or to tell that we didn't ask?
I think we would like to increase the capacity over in the European market tremendous. But you know, you're coming from Chile and you're also from India, so it's all an expectation from the global market. That the installations of storage system will be increased tremendous in the next time. But of course, what you have to provide a fully functional system. If you're starting with a system who is not doing what you promised, then you're out of the market extremely. And you know, we are also a new company. We are not Sungrow, we are not BYD.
How old is Tecloman?
30 years. 30? More than 30 years.
Okay.
And but we are concentrating us on a medium-sized capacity. So we have to ensure and we have to insist our clients with the right technology, and it's necessary that the clients can trust. So this is our intention, that we will fulfill such a requirement. So we have to do things with high quality.
Amazing. Yeah.
I will wait
Thanks a
for
lot.
my friend to ask all the questions because it's been a very intriguing interview with you for sure, and we got getting to know all the turnkey solutions of Tecloman and also the problems and challenges and opportunities for battery storage. Thank you, Sascha,
Yeah,
for
thanks
the
a lot.
insightful interview, and we hope to
Yep.
sit sometime again because we haven't finished. We have a lot more questions coming.
Obviously, we have to do this monthly. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
very much.
Thanks a lot.
And thank you all for watching until the end of the interview. And stay tuned because now we are in Munich. We're going to shoot some interviews. So see you next time.